Loved this cover for a very long time. A little brief history of Master of Puppets. I got this back in '86 when it was brand new. Yeah, I'm an old dude. And I remember listening to it. My parents wanted to listen to it a little bit because they were kind of curious. I'm not sure what they thought about "Cannot Kill the Family," "Battery is Found in Me." When they first started, like, what is this guy listening to? But they had no objections, and they let me continue my metal journey from there forward. And they really had no. They were pretty loose parents when it came to music and things of that, and movies and stuff. So they kind of let me grow, which I really do appreciate. But this is where my fandom for metal really started. Was these bands like Metallica and Death Leppard. I mean, back in the day, when Leppard was a lot heavier. But anyways, this cover, I've always loved it. I've always thought it had a creepy vibe to it. I know it's not meant to be a horror vibe, but you've got these white crosses in the all over this thing, all over this cover. They're going off into the distance. You've got this grass underneath it. It's kind of brown and deadish. You got this orange light in the sky. You've got like in between. There's like layers. There's crosses, and it's like orange layer of light. Then these big red kind of blackish clouds up top, and these puppet hands in the sky kind of coming down. And there's these red hands and then the strings are attached to the hands that are on top of the graves. And there's a soldier's helmet there in green, which kind of pops. And of course, this is like more about war than horror. About leaders leading us like puppets in wars and everything. But I've always thought this cover had a really creepy vibe to it. Just this very ominous vibe to it, ominous tone to it. So that's kind of what the podcast is for too, is to find horror and stuff you may not necessarily see horror in. Like Black Dahlia Murder, there's plenty of horror there. But maybe you don't see horror as much in Metallica until you stop and look at it a little closer. That's why I'm doing this horrific big four the next few weeks, because I want to dive into these four big artists and find a little horror in there. And Metallica's Master of Puppets, this cover has tons of horror in it if you look close enough, like I just highlighted. And with all that said, I'm going to go ahead and rate the cover now, and that cover number is a 4. So on the scale of 1 to 6, Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood at number 1, Freddy's Nightmares at number 6, Metallica's Master of Puppets cover is a number 4. It's leaning a little more towards Freddy's Nightmares than it is towards Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood.